Miss Canty and Carlin.
Let's take injuries out of the mix because that can happen to anyone. If things go south, it's because Aaron Rodgers is not playing at the level that he has played at throughout his career, and he looks more like the guy that we saw in the second half of last season. The Jets did the right thing in improving and trying to go get him. You also have to acknowledge that this is risky to a degree when you are going after a quarterback of that age coming off that kind of a season.
Canty and Carlin, weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Happy Monday. Monday. Kinner Kev Show, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Case of the Mondays myself, but excited to be hanging out with all of you here today. It's officially game week. Ohio State, Indiana, week 1. Regardless of whether it's a good game or not, it's still Ohio State football, and we cannot wait. We're going to be talking with ESPN's Heather Dinich coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll chat with her, of course, about the evolving college football and college athletics landscape as a whole. We'll talk a little Ohio State and kind of her view of the Big Ten. We'll get to all of that with ESPN's Heather Dinich coming up here in just a little bit. But Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, though?
It's a Monday.
How you feeling, man?
Great. I didn't really do a whole heck of a lot this weekend, actually. I went out in Troy for a bit over the weekend. Went swam in the pool a little bit, got a little pool.
Okay.
Got some sun, kind of. Still pale, but still pale. But nothing exciting this weekend.
I went for a hike.
Sometimes that's a good thing. A hike.
Yes, Yellow Springs.
Oh yeah. So I wish we would do that more. So me, my wife, and a couple of my best friends, we went like last year. And we spent the entire day just kind of hitting up the different trails out there, but that's pretty cool. I love going in the fall, especially like when all the leaves start to change colors and everything. The Yellow Springs, they have some badass trails out there that you have to check out. That's for sure.
Very cool. Very cool. Had a good time out there. And then on Saturday evening, so my wife, she has gotten into juicing. So she got this big, huge juicer. And her
Barry Bonds right away for some reason.
Her and one of her good friends are starting this juicing journey together. So I don't know how long she was gone. They went to the farmer's market. They went to Kroger. They went to Meijer. They just basically bounced around all the grocery stores in town. And then they started juicing. So they started juicing, I'll say about 6 p.m. They weren't done juicing until midnight.
Time out. What is juicing?
Basically a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables. So from kale to spinach to apples, beets, bananas, any fruit, any vegetable out there, this juicer basically crushes it into smithereens and juices all the juice out.
So they just drank that all night?
No. They started the process of juicing all those fruits and vegetables through the juicer, put it in mason jars, and basically they're going to use those as meal replacements throughout the week.
Okay, so I was burgering then, if that's the case. I was pizzaing and wingsing it. I don't know if that's a word, but okay. That's so like meal replacement type.
Yeah. So I told her the Tuesday after Labor Day, so I guess a week from tomorrow, I will do one juice a day. So I'm trying to find out which juice is going to work for me. Probably something with kale and spinach. But I tried a very little bit of the beet juice. Oh, man, it almost came right back up.
I'd say beat it as far as that's concerned. Thanks, but no thanks. But again, I hope everyone had a great weekend. Ryan Strong right off the bat says, when is the next live show? I do not know, actually. I do not know.
Are you guys fans of the live show?
I had a blast at Frickers this past Friday, and thank you, obviously, Ryan Strong, for coming out. Shaw, Packers fan Tim.
Yeah.
William Yelly, I think it was the first chance I got to meet William. But appreciate all the listeners that came out. I know that Brad and Dave and my wife Nora, she came out, and Brittany. Shout out to Brittany and Bert and everyone else that came out. So it was a nice little crowd out there on Friday. But the Sunday morning show officially kicks off a week from this Sunday. The Sunday morning tailgate show, Fricker 741 by the Dayton Mall, every Sunday morning from 11:30 to 1. Keith Byers and I, or Kev Nash and I, will be live from 11:30 to 1, getting you set for the big day's worth of NFL games and then recapping college football football Saturday, talking about whichever team Ohio State whooped up on them the day before. So, but yes, a week from Sunday is when the Sunday morning show returns, all the way through Super Bowl Sunday. And then we'll work on getting the show out more live. We'll work on getting the show out more live.
Speaking of Friday, obviously it was like 93 degrees on Friday. We didn't talk about your experience going over to Northmont.
First of all, 75 was clear the whole way, so I got there in time. And
Good.
Shout out, and by the way, there's so many athletic directors here locally at the high school level do an awesome job setting up for all the broadcast teams that come in and do these. But I want to, shout out to Northmont. I think that, Micah, the athletic director out there, does an awesome job in the setup and making sure everyone's taken care of. But yeah, it was air conditioned. They provided water and food for everyone. They don't have to do that, but it's always appreciated. That's not why we do it, but it does help. No, that was actually not bad. Not bad. It was one heck of a game too. Northmont won 35-31. The quarterback, the kid, Courtner, unbelievable. He threw for like 330 yards. He had 4 touchdowns. He had one that was a 97-yard touchdown pass. He had a 70-yard touchdown pass. Kid's unbelievable. They ended up holding off, LaSalle. Sorry,
yeah.
They ended up holding them off in the second half. But considering the weather and the elements and everything, I even got a close parking spot. I didn't have to. I was real
Friday
was
your day then.
I was real worried about that. But yes, it was good night and a good game. And honestly, there's a lot of good games on paper around town, but we had the best one. No other game was as exciting as that one. Now, you could correct me. Maybe I missed one out there, but most games seem to be blowouts, or if they were tight, they were low-scoring games. This one was a little bit of everything. But Northmont 2-0, holding off, LaSalle the way that they did. Was pretty cool. So it was like a shootout at first in the beginning of the first half. I thought it was going to be like that Wayne game last week, but Wayne, they got, their offense kind of died down a little bit this past weekend, but lots of really good high school football action over the weekend. In fact, we'll get to our top 5, star performers, individual performances from over the week. I do know this, Courtner was number 1 on our list, the quarterback for Northmont, not just because we called the game, but there wasn't a lot of quarterbacks that had a bigger weekend than he did. In fact, we're highlighting him on the Buckeye Roundtable tonight. Every week on the Buckeye Roundtable, I provide just a player highlight or whatever. And I was like, well, this is unfair. I got a chance to see. I got to see this one live, but Courtner was pretty unbelievable. That's for sure. John Sladen says, is the Saturday tailgate show happening again this year? We will have a pregame show, but it will not be out on the road. So there's that. But nonetheless. But Sunday, Fricker, 741 by the Dayton Mall. The Sunday morning tailgate show does return a week from this Sunday. All right, so college football. We're going to talk with ESPN's Heather Dinich coming up here in about 13 minutes. And, of course, week 0. We talked last week about week 0 and all this stuff. And it only makes – week 0 just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why you just kind of sprinkle some of those games during weeks. Like, just have the regular kickoff, or like we talked about last Friday, kind of spice it up a bit. Take College Game Day on the road and send them to a MAC school, send them to a conference that doesn't usually get that type of treatment. Take advantage of the slower week, if you will, and take advantage of that. You're going to get the big college feel anyways.
Right.
Tell me taking that to Oxford's not going to make it, you're not going to get a great experience out there. People are going to come from all over to experience game day in Oxford if that's the case. So to me, I think week 0 is pointless. Now you got a big slate of games for this week, the official kickoff week. And is Notre Dame and USC playing this week? Or was that like this bye week? I have no clue how this works.
No, they play this week.
So, okay. Well, that helps, but kind of ruins it a little to me.
Yeah, it's not even like a soft opening. It's just like, because people still got stuff going on, still getting really ramped up for the football season, everything like that. If there was like one headline game, just give me one good 8:00 game, good matchup, then I'm locked in. But even like the guys from ESPN, like they're not like totally invested because they did College Game Day from the studio as opposed to on the road. Fox didn't even do their big noon kickoff show. So like everybody's out there, like the powers that be tell you like this is like definitely week 0 because there was zero interest outside of fanatics like me and you.
So again, the matchups themselves not entertaining. Notre Dame and was it Army or Navy?
Navy.
Dublin,
so
Notre Dame, Navy, and Dublin. The location was cool. You got to see a power in Notre Dame. Sam Hartman was unbelievable. You got to see USC, but same thing as in that one against San Jose State or whoever they played.
Yeah, San Jose State gave them a good run for their money. They kept it close throughout the first 3 quarters, and then USC returned a kickoff and then had like a scoop and score that basically sealed it.
Friday, we talked about like the Heisman, favorites according to Vegas and everything. And we talked about our dark horse favorites to win it. One I threw out there was Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman, 19 to 23, 251 yards, 4 touchdowns, had a passer rating of 151.7. Caleb Williams, the odds-on favorite, to win it all, 18 to 25, 278 yards, also a 4 touchdown performance. He had a passer rating of like 148 to whatever. I mean, look, you have to get like sometimes these going up against bad opponents like this, sometimes these games are more dangerous when you go up against good opponents. You can have a questionable game against a really good opponent and be forgiven because of that. So it's nice to see Sam Hartman. Like Notre Dame worries me. Notre Dame worries me for Ohio State because of their quarterback play.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's going to be the key right there for Notre Dame. And I think that's what makes Notre Dame more, I'm more confident in Notre Dame's ability to make the playoff and win it all this year because of Sam Hartman. A lot of times you get this type of Notre Dame team with just a quarterback. And that's really the difference between, honestly, more times than not, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, and your powers that be and others is the elite quarterback play. LSU was just good. Joe Burrow, bam, all of a sudden they go to that next level. You could have Justin Jefferson. You can have, of course, Jamar Chase. You could have all those cats. But if you don't have that guy that can elevate everyone to that next level, I know Georgia doesn't have the sexiest of quarterbacks, but when you have you have an NFL defense carrying the way and you're a well-rounded team, you can overcome some of that. But that's the thing. That's what worries me about Notre Dame. Me, I'm not a Notre Dame fan, but I do like Sam Hartman. I wanted Ohio State to get him in the offseason. And hopefully, Sam Hartman's not leading Notre Dame over Ohio State. But I did like what I saw to the Fighting Irish over the weekend, regardless of who their opponent was.
Man, Sam Hartman has been putting up crazy numbers since he was a freshman at Wake Forest. And I know people are going to say Wake Forest, they play in the ACC as Wake Forest, but he's a baller. He's good. And he went to Notre Dame for this reason, to get the stamp of approval from everybody else, because being on this stage that everybody's going to be watching, either you're a Notre Dame fan or you're a Notre Dame hater. So you're going to be watching him to hate him or watching because you love him. So, he's going to be on this stage now that, not too many other quarterbacks are going to be put on. And I would say he's probably the best quarterback they've had since Brady Quinn.
Yeah. Right. Like there's been no one close.
No. I can't think of anybody that's on his level as a passer
to become to be in the Heisman conversation. No, you're right. Like Brady Quinn's the last one, and that was well over a decade and change ago. As far as that's concerned, so I like Hartman. Like I said, when I was saying in the offseason about the portal, everyone was like, "Oh, you don't know Sam Hartman, Ohio State. We don't want him." Well, I really hope that that's the case. I really hope that whether it's Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, I hope whoever it is, and whoever starts this weekend, I don't think it matters, because I think that whoever the quarterback is for the Notre Dame game, that's the guy that they trust the most. Like, I don't care who the quarterback is against Youngstown or Western Kentucky or against Indiana, and I'll give Indiana more respect than those other two. But ultimately, to me, I think that, you're going to see different starters over the next couple of weeks for Ohio State. Whoever the starter is for the Notre Dame game here in a month, that's who, that's the guy, right? Like, I mean, you can't, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out, but I do know this. I hope that we're not watching that Notre Dame game saying, man, if Ohio State would have been aggressive, it went after Sam Hartman in the portal, but we'll see.
I think there's a lot of teams out there that could potentially be saying that, Alabama's one of them as well. Maybe even Georgia. I thought he was going to Alabama for sure. I just knew without a doubt. It never crossed my mind for 1 second that he would end up at Notre Dame, but that's where he picked. And he picked up right where he left off the last 3 seasons at Wake Forest, throwing dimes. And, and this system that he's playing in at Notre Dame is totally different from the system that he played in at Wake Forest. Wake Forest was a heavy shotgun play action team, like slow mesh points and everything like that. And, throw a jump ball to a 6'4" wide receiver. Like, he's actually have to make reads and throw it to the right spots and things like that. So this is preparing him for the next level. So I wish him nothing but the best, except against the Ohio State Buckeyes.
It's the Kinner and Kev Show, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN's Heather Dinich, talk all things college football, or continue talking all things college football when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast mostly clear, 54 tonight, sunshine and 83 Tuesday, partly sunny and 75 for Wednesday. I'm Rick Schremt for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service at 730 South Patterson in Dayton, where they treat every vehicle like their own and every customer like family. Online at c-wtire.com.
Horizon Business Fiber keeps your network running. When your connectivity requires the utmost in reliability and security at top speeds, you need Horizon Business Fiber. We are your local provider for dedicated internet, Ethernet, cloud-based hosted voice, SD-WAN, and more. For a better fiber broadband solution backed by 24/7 locally monitored network support, visit horizonconnects.com/radio. That's horizonconnects.com/radio.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at columbusequipment.com.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Okay, so website's done.
Okay, great. But now we need to optimize it.
Optimize?
The build it and they will come mindset doesn't really work here.
So what do we need to do?
There's SEO, paid search, social media, text and mobile marketing, and...
Yeah, we're going to need some help.
There's SEO, SEM, targeted display, location targeting, social media advertising, OTT, and CTV. We have expertise that will get your business noticed, allowing you to focus more on your business. Go to alphadigitaldayton.com. That's alphadigitaldayton.com. Or call 937-519-0035.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hey Dayton, it's true. Chevrolet of Troy has you covered for all your auto service needs. We offer a state-of-the-art dealership with experienced service, parts, and body shop. We're the only dealer in Miami County with an on-site body shop, and we make it easy with experienced professionals ready to diagnose your vehicle with the goal of getting you back on the road quickly. And listen to this. For a limited time, get an oil change for as low as $29.95. Chevrolet of Troy, 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about two things: the one-of-a-kind wood-fired flavor of a Traeger Ironwood XL grill and football. That's right, Desmond Howard. Get fired up for the game in just a tap with Traeger's intuitive touchscreen. Then throw on your favorites and monitor the grill from anywhere with Wi-Fi technology. So you spend less time staring at the grill, which means more time for football. Upgrade your Saturday with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
AutoZone is more than a parts store. It's where we help you solve problems like, sorry I'm late, my battery died. And
I need a jump. Again.
At America's #1 battery destination, you can find the right battery at the right price with options starting at only $89.99. And we offer free battery testing and charging whenever you need it. Get the parts and help you need to get the job done right at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You know, I grew up hearing that women are bad with money. But like many of you, I spent years paying bills, managing checking accounts, and taking care of my family. So turns out women are pretty good with money after all. And now I'm taking control of my financial future by saving for retirement. It's never too late to start, and there's a great website to help you. Check out WeSaySaveIt.org and jumpstart your retirement savings on your budget and your timeline. That's WeSaySaveIt.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
I was crossing the street when I met the love of my life. I chased after her. Nothing would stand in my way. Not the dog walker, nor the hot dog vendor. Finally reaching her, I asked, "What do you call that amazing smell?"
It's Gain Flings.
Gain Flings. My love had a name, but more importantly, it had a scent.
Fall in love with Gain Flings. Seriously good scent. Gain Flings with 50% more freshness ingredients versus leading bargain detergent.
Discover credit cards do something awesome. At the end of your first year, they automatically double all the cash back you've earned. That's right. Everything you've earned, double. See terms and check it out for yourself at discover.com/match.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're already heading into week 3 of the high school football season. Technically, the college season kicked off week 0. And then, of course, the NFL a couple weeks away. We wrapped up all the preseason games. And now as rosters start to finalize, guys get cut and fill up other spots on rosters. There's plenty to still talk about to get us through to week 1 of the NFL season. But I can't tell you how excited I am. College football, the Ohio State Buckeyes, everything gets underway officially this week, even though week 0. Kev, where are you at week 0? It counts, obviously, but like, I don't know. We can't say it's kicking off this weekend. It technically kicked off this past weekend. Either way, I'm pretending like it didn't happen. We're kicking off this week.
The matchups weren't great. I did watch USC, San Jose State, watched a little bit of that, but I saw that Notre Dame was blowing out Navy, throwing the passes in the third quarter up 35-0, everything like that. But But I'm ready for this week.
You'll watch San Jose State, but no preseason NFL football. Unbelievable. All right, joining us now, ESPN college football reporter, of course, none other than ESPN's Heather Dinich. Heather, welcome in. How are you?
I'm terrific. I'm looking forward to these games. I had kind of the same feeling about week 0. I had them on and paid attention to them. Weren't great matchups, but I do know that the Steelers won their preseason game. So
yes.
I can't say that.
3-0 in the preseason are our Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett looks awesome. 5 drives for the first team offense, 5 touchdowns, 5 drives for the first team defense from the Pittsburgh Steelers, 5 3-and-outs. Steelers will win at least 11 games this season. Black and yellow.
And I just got a new best friend.
Heather, thank you for joining us. Have a great week. That's coming from a Browns fan, so I don't really have a whole lot to brag about at the moment. So nonetheless, but no, I was telling Heather that I wasn't expecting you to. I send out all my emails early in the morning before I get my day started, and then it sounds like you had your hands full. Obviously, first day of school. I mean, you've been busy right now as the season's officially kicking off.
That's right. I got 3 kids. Got to get out the door. I go to school. I got laundry going. Got phone calls we're making. And by the way, I'm going to Dallas this week for a college football playoff meeting because what else would I be doing on week 1? But monitoring those gentlemen and ladies and seeing what they're going to do. And it's going to be quite interesting because it's the first time that they're going to be in a room together as 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick since the Pac-12 imploded. So while I'm not allowed in the meeting, I'm going to stay very close to that door. I guarantee you that.
This feels like such, I've followed some of your tweets on this as well, or X's or whatever you want to call them at the moment, but like this feels like we're closing the chapter on, even though the college football playoff era was separate from what I grew up watching, this does feel like, okay, this is a massive change now with the like I'm really doing everything I can to enjoy this season of college football because it's not going to feel or look or sound the same moving forward. Am I being a little dramatic in that, or what's your takeaway as far as like enjoying this season? Because it's not going, and that doesn't mean it's going to be bad moving forward, but there will be some that don't like it, and this will be the last of that nostalgic type feel, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think you're being dramatic at all. I've been calling 2024 Y2K of college football because things are just going to get zapped, it feels like. I mean, really, this is, if we're talking about a sport which I believe is built on history and tradition and rivalries. Leaders throughout college athletics just lopped off over 100 years of that with the dissolution of the Pac-12, assuming that's what's going to happen here in the next couple of days. You know, and you're talking about the last bedlam that we'll probably see for a while in the Big 12. I mean, you know, Oregon State. It's just all of those things like that. It's going to be changing, and so you know you have the different shifting landscape and realignment. But you're right. This is the last year of the 4-team college football playoff, and so somebody's going to be mad at number 5, and next year when it goes to 12, number 13 is going to be mad too. So we'll just keep arguing about a lot of the same stuff, guys. This should be pretty fun.
Yeah, since you brought up conference realignment, I had a tweet that I sent out like, I don't know, like 5 o'clock this morning when I'm on the treadmill. And I basically said, you can make a strong argument that conference realignment is the fault of the Longhorn Network and the NCAA's over punishment to Reggie Bush and USC. Because if you think about it, since USC lost Reggie Bush, they've been irrelevant and they haven't been a powerhouse team out there in the Pac-12. So you lose half of the country with that program. And then with the NCAA saying like, okay, the Longhorn Network can exist, they created an unfair recruiting advantage, but that was the whole reason that USC got punished. So I just personally think like this conference realignment thing is the fault of the NCAA and the fault of the Longhorn Network. I'm standing on that.
That's fascinating. That's also deep thoughts for early morning treadmill run. You can turn the ESPN on and just veg out, you know, right? But I mean, you can point fingers every which way as to how and why this happened. I mean, there's so many other things. I mean, there are many sources I talk to who say, well, you know, the Pac-12 should have added the Big 12 teams when that happened with OU and Texas, and the Big 12 was clawing to stay alive, and everybody thought that conference would implode. You know, there were so many different other things. Colorado leaving. That was another thing that started a lot of the snowball as well. And then Oregon and Washington to the Big Ten. If they don't do that, there's so many if-thens that you could look back on throughout the past couple of years, over the past decade, really. I mean, Larry Scott, his tenure, period. End of story. The Pac-12 network. There are so many things, so many missteps along the way. But personally, I believe that if the leaders in college athletics wanted to keep the Pac-12 together at some point throughout the past couple of years, they could have done things to make that happen.
Heather, we keep hearing about it's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC ultimately, just these two mega conferences. But I give a ton of credit to the Big 12 because the difference between them and the Pac-12, the Big 12 lost their two heavy hitters right away in Texas and Oklahoma. And that's kind of what really started the shock and awe of all these, of all these movements. But they didn't really do anything to the Big 12's credit. They didn't sit there and sulk. They made changes right away. They, Cincinnati and everything else. And maybe some of those moves were already in the midst before those teams were going to be on the way out. But ultimately, is the Big 12 and the ACC and others, are they just prolonging the inevitable of it ultimately becoming the Big 10 and the SEC? Or is there a good, healthy shot that, hey, the Big 12 is a sustainable model moving forward, as is the ACC? Your thoughts on the big picture with all of this, because it's nice seeing the Big 12 make moves, the ACC rumored to be making some, but are these conferences that aren't the Big 10 and SEC just prolonging the inevitable of ultimately folding and having to basically merge with the Big 10 and SEC?
Well, I think as we sit here today, they're in a good spot and have a great chance at being healthy, sustainable conferences. There's power two. I don't think you can deny that there are power two conferences right now because the Big Ten and the SEC have separated themselves so much financially from the others. But with the Big 12 making the moves that it did and the ads that it did, and then quite frankly, if the ACC adds Stanford and Cal at an extremely discounted rate and SMU joins the party, then it adds revenue and it also makes it extremely difficult on top of what they already have to do to leave that conference. So it gives them financial security and it also gives them grant of rights and commitment and all these other types of security and stability. But at the end of the day, any reasonable person can't help but scratch their head and say, what does this mean for the players? What does this mean for the volleyball team, for the soccer team, for the women's basketball team, for the baseball team? The list goes on and on and on. And even the football teams. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm out here in Maryland in Big Ten country, and I've flown to a game at UCLA. I saw UCLA Oregon a couple of years ago. I came home and I was like, do I have to go to work on Monday? That was a cross-country trip, and they've got to do this and they've got to go to class and they've got to show up. So there are so many other things involved that you just scratch your head at the logistics of an Atlantic Coast conference adding Pacific Coast teams. I mean, we can talk about this all day long because it's a whole other conversation. The fact that Stanford and Cal, two academic prestigious universities, just speaking strictly academics, are in this position to begin with. That's a whole other indictment of where we are, just in terms of the balance between athletics and academics.
Yeah, like we've talked about this, like college football making the world go round. At what point do factors that aren't football play a role in discussions of how you want to go about aligning these conferences? Because one idea I threw out where if you're the Big Ten, we were talking about, okay, which, conferences, what teams are going to absorb, be absorbed by who. And I said, hey, if you're the Big Ten, from a branding perspective, I love them trying to go out and aggressively landing North Carolina and Duke from the perspective of you own the biggest rivalry in college athletics from the football side in Ohio State, Michigan. Imagine being able to brand it as, hey, we have the two biggest rivalries in all of sports, pro included, where we have Ohio State, Michigan, but also North Carolina and Duke on the basketball side. It is wild. As much money as basketball generates, not nearly as much as football. Basketball is just an afterthought as far as aligning these conferences. If it scraps basketball rivalries, whatever. But basketball is still the fascinating part to me. When we get to college basketball season, it's funny how the talk is not as much on the conference realignment, how it impacts basketball as much as it does football.
That's right. Well, and this all just exacerbates and shines a light on how important college football revenue is to not just athletic departments, but universities, because university presidents are the ones making these decisions. That can't be lost on people. These aren't coaches and athletic directors and commissioners making these calls. I mean, are they involved in conversations? Of course they are. But at the end of the day, these are university presidents and chancellors who are voting on whether or not to join conferences.
We can talk about this all day long, but we actually got football to talk about, real games. So I know it is before the season technically kicks off of week 1, but we got to ask, who's your Final Four?
Oh, that's so hard. It's like you just throw a dart. I mean, it's hard not to go with the same old, right? So you start with Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama. I have Michigan winning the Big Ten on paper right now because Michigan knows who their quarterback is. J.J. McCarthy's done a great job. They got Blake Corum at running back. I mean, Michigan and Ohio State have flip-flopped in terms of where they are. And I think what really bothers Ohio State fans is not so much that Michigan has won back-to-back, but that they've done that and they have elbowed out Ohio State in terms of the national spotlight too, because they're also in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a double whammy for Ohio State fans.
It hurts.
Right?
It does. It hurts bad.
So, but the Ohio State is so talented that if you ask me right now who has a better chance to beat Georgia, I'll say Ohio State every time. Because I can't get those playoff games out of my head. I thought Michigan was out coached by TCU, and I thought Ohio State, I was on the Ohio State bandwagon all last year. I thought they were a national championship team. still think they were one of the best teams in the country last year, and that Ohio State Georgia team was the national championship game in my mind. But until we see what they look like at quarterback, I got to go with Michigan because they're getting it done. But Ohio State's got razzle dazzle. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. They got so much talent all over the field. It's just, you guys know what it boils down to. Can they beat Michigan? Can they beat Notre Dame?
ESPN's Heather Dinich, awesome enough to give us some time today. With that being said, it's funny because I always, as you're talking about Michigan being ahead of Ohio State and all this stuff, you're talking about Buckeye fans and all this, I start cringing because I know what Kev and I get just from a smaller local market perspective. I can't imagine because if we say anything that's semi-critical of Ohio State, we get it just here locally. You're basically telling so many fan bases how ugly their baby is all the time. I always say, people don't want to hear that their team is bad, just like no one wants to hear that their baby is ugly. I don't know about you. I have a friend. I love my friend to death, but when they send us the picture of their baby, I'm like, that is the cutest thing ever. I'm like, I feel horrible. That is not a cute baby. Everyone thinks their baby's so cute, but really sometimes there's flaws, and that's how we treat our sports teams. No one wants to be told their baby's ugly. What's the worst fan base you have to deal with? Who do you get the most, the worst, pushback from or whatever? Because everyone's so nice on social media.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can just check my Twitter mentions or X mentions or whatever you want to call it to find the answer to that question. But it depends on the time of year and what's happening in college football. That's the honest answer to that question. Bama fans can get pretty angry, right? Pretty angry with me sometimes. But here's the thing that we learned about Alabama last year and the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Even if your jersey is the Alabama Crimson Tide, that does not mean you are a lock as a top 4 team. So I thought that was an important message last year that the selection committee sent. Now, we can argue all day if Alabama was one of the best 4 teams in the country, but on paper, they were not the best team in the SEC West. They weren't the best team in the SEC. TCU didn't win their division either. So again, these are things that you can go back and forth and round in circles, but Alabama fans are not shy on my Twitter account. Ohio State fans are not shy. Penn State fans. It's the ones that care the most about their program. They'll let you have it. That's why I have my notifications off, guys.
And rightfully so. Right? I enjoy the back and forth. I enjoy being called names. Apparently, I don't know. I've been 5'5" and chubby my whole life, Heather. It's like you're not going to say something to me that I haven't heard since I was young. So is what it is. But Heather, last thing on the way out, I find obviously you're known for all your work that you've done with covering college football and everything. But I find one of the most fascinating things about your career is how you kind of broke into media, of course, with the Bobby Knight stuff. Correct. And what's really cool about that is I've been watching the documentary, the Swamp Kings documentary with Urban Meyer, who not a lot of comparisons between him and Bobby Knight, but a prominent, dominant college football coach that ultimately came crashing down hard. Have you had a chance to watch that? And is there any what's your takeaway when you watch powerful coaches like that, especially with your experience covering the Bobby Knight saga over at Indiana during your time? What are your takeaways when you see things like this with coaches like Urban and others who obviously their coaching style works? That's why they've won so many championships, but ultimately their strength is their weakness and it ultimately becomes their demise.
Right. Well, to be honest, I have not seen that documentary yet, but it's certainly on my list because it sounds very good. But you're right. And I also wonder if that era of coaches is gone because of social media and players with cameras and things in the locker room. You see the stuff that's coming out about Northwestern right now. Certainly not that Pat Fitzgerald is in the category of these other coaches we're talking about, but just in terms of how you run a program, the stuff that Bob Knight did, and you can still hear clips on it from locker rooms today, that would never fly. It would never get to the point that it did at Indiana, where you get chance after chance after chance after chance, until the point where you reach that zero tolerance policy. So it is fascinating because some of the best coaches that I've ever been around have also had that strangeness to them, right? There's just something different about them, something different, something volatile, and also something brilliant, to be honest. So it's that it would be a great college psychology class is studying head coaches like that, truly, because it is fascinating. But I do ask myself, have we seen that? Is something ever going to happen with Nick Saban where he flips his lid? Because his image is that of what Jimbo portrayed in his rant. What was it, last year or
Mhm.
whatever? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
he walks on water and all this stuff is great. So I don't know. Is he smart enough to walk away if they have a winning season this year or they're in the college football playoff, or is he smart enough to walk away when he is at the pinnacle again of college football, or is it a Bobby Bowden type exit?
That's and I'm just always fascinated by all of that. And the urban thing is just like, and I feel bad because I mean, there's such a negative, aura around him and Bobby Knight and others, but it's like, I loved Bobby Knight. I love Urban Meyer. I love those coaches, but I'm watching this clip and you'll see when you watch it, some of the stuff from their practices. I'm like, oh, I'm cringing at that. It doesn't offend me, but I know people are going to have a field day with it. And that's ultimately what happened. But ESPN's Heather Dinich. Heather, you're awesome. Thank you so much for giving us time today. We really appreciate it. And we're glad the season's here.
My pleasure, guys. Enjoy week 1.
Thank you.
More of the Kinner and Kev Show when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
College football fans, it is our time to shine. Week 1 is officially here, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season off strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. How many times have we seen an unranked team beat a top 10 team? Countless, right? Change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is a great offer from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WING1410. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WING1410. The crown is yours. 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Physically present in Ohio. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
Paid for by government.com. Have you heard? Morgan's silver dollars are back for 2023. For the 100th anniversary, the U.S. Mint released the first legal tender Morgans in 100 years. They sold out instantly. Now, Morgan's silver dollars are back in 2023, minted in 99.9% pure silver, but only 275,000 coins were minted, and they will go fast. The entire market and experts agree this is a big deal and an amazing opportunity for both coin and silver buyers. Just call 1-800-571-6468 and you are guaranteed a 2023 brand new uncirculated 99.9% pure silver Morgan dollar. But with limited quantities, you must call now. To learn more, call 1-800-571-6468. Plus, you'll receive a free bonus Patriots pack, new and improved, a $25 value free with every order. Call 1-800-571-6468 now to secure your new 2023 Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-571-6468.
Have you lost Ohio Medicaid? At healthcare.gov, you can find a low-cost, quality health plan.
Do plans cover doctor visits?
What about emergency care?
And prescriptions?
All covered and more. Plus, with the new law, 4 out of 5 customers can find a plan for $10 or less per month with financial help. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Enroll today for coverage starting the 1st of next month. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers here to tell you about OGW Energy Resources. If you own a home or a business and want to save money, then going solar with OGW Energy Resources is the way to go. OGW Energy Resources have been helping the Miami Valley save money by going solar for over 14 years. There is no better time than now to look into going solar. For more information, check out their website at ogwenergyresources.com. Go solar today. OGW Energy Resources. Your energy, your future, control it.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Wake up, people. You're optimizing every waking hour of your life.
From carpooling kids to work to friends and everything in between, you have to get sleep and a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements, learning how you sleep so you learn to sleep better night after night. Sleep next level, only from Sleep Number.
It's the biggest sale of the year. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition Smart Bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. See store for details.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on all your school essentials from notebooks to markers. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, portable tech, and travel-sized personal items. Plus, save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples print and marketing services. And now at Staples, you can save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
Hot rods, muscle cars, classics. You gotta see Cars and Parts Giant Swap Meet and Car Show this Friday and Saturday at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. You gotta be there. Fun for the whole family. Bargains on everything automotive. Buy, sell a collector car, see show cars, find parts for your winter restoration project. Cars and Parts Giant Swap Meet and Car Show this Friday and Saturday at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. Call 937-376-0111 for more info or visit ohioswapmeet.com.
Taco Bell's new grilled cheese dipping taco is, it's completely new. It's got a fresh fried white corn shell filled with cheese and new slow braised shredded beef with even more cheese grilled outside the shell. But what makes it really special is the dip. It comes with 2 sauces and you dip in one or both. Red sauce, then nacho cheese sauce, maybe more red sauce. This is a next level taco situation that'll have you acting brand new. The new grilled cheese dipping taco. Get one on the Taco Bell app today. At participating U.S. Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact store for participation which varies.
When you wake up well rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
I should not use a chatbot to write my wedding vows.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
My life coach has a terrible life.
Find your mattress at the Actually Really Seriously Best Sale of the Year for real at Mattress Firm. Get a Sleepy's mattress and adjustable base for only $499.99, our lowest price ever, plus fast free delivery. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Buckeye fans, don't miss Dayton's own Keith Byers every Wednesday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Are you ready?
Good stuff from ESPN's Heather Dinich. Yeah, my favorite, for one, she's been around for quite a while. She does a great job. But my favorite story of her was, of course, when that Bobby Knight documentary came out. Her story of, she was, and I forget the name of the student newspaper at Indiana, but she was the head of the student newspaper there, and Bob Knight did not want to deal with the local media as far as the Indy Star and all that stuff. So he said he would only speak to one media outlet, and that was to the student newspaper. Now, you guys got to understand something, okay? Coaches know how territorial media outlets get.
Mm-hmm.
And when they could, this is not a shot at Heather Dinich at all, but it was viewed as a middle finger to local media outlets. The fact that Bobby Knight, he was a god on that campus. The fact that Bobby Knight would give Heather Dinich the exclusive interviews, the student newspaper, you have exclusive, you have you know what I mean? You have proven media outlets over there that have covered the history of Indiana basketball, that have true professionals on there. Not that Heather is not or was not, but you got to understand the pecking order of things. No one's looking at a student reporter, a newspaper reporter, and saying, oh my gosh, they deserve it. Bobby Knight knew what he was doing, but obviously Heather Dinich done pretty well for herself, and she's one of the best reporters that ESPN has, especially when it comes to college football. So, but I love that documentary. I learned that about. I had no idea, but I think that's fascinating because she got to see the real Bob Knight, not the Bob Knight, just the coach on TV and stuff, but the behind the scenes stuff. She goes, look, she was intimidated. He's this big, scary guy, but that's not how he present. He invited her and the student staff out to his house. It's not like he invited her, her and the student staff went to his house and did an exclusive interview out there. They sat on the back patio and they just chopped it up. And he gave them everything that they wanted and needed. It was done, yes, and it propelled her career. Yes, super talented she is, with or without that. But
Right.
that helped. But it was also done as a way to kind of point the middle finger, at some of those established media outlets. Like, oh my gosh, we pay so much money to our reporters and they can't get this interview, but this student reporter is getting that. I'm fascinated by that story.
Absolutely. I mean, it speaks to her being prepared for the moment. We talk about this in sports all the time. Like, hey, man, we got to be ready for this. If this happens or if that happens. Well, she was ready if a Bob Knight ever called her to do an interview, and she was ready. And that obviously her being prepared got her to the next step in her career, something that, other journalists take forever to get there. She was ready in college when that opportunity presented itself. So kudos to her.
Yeah. And I remember that's what was unique. So when I started doing my first radio experience ever was actually at WWSU.
The right choice.
Which Wright State student radio station, which that was, I wouldn't have got this job doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for that. There's not a sports radio, degree, and so it's like, you go to school, you obviously you get your degree, but it's not like it's in this field. I had to, put together experiences that would put me in position to get to this point, of course. And I remember that was always my goal, was like, hey, it's student radio, but I'm not going to treat it like student radio. We would do shows on the road. There was I forgot the sports bar that it was the Right Wing. I think it was the Right Wing. Just little sports bars right on the corner of Kaufman, and I can't remember the other, the connecting street there. But we would literally we would take our show out there. Jim Brown, Hall of Famer for Wright State, of course, calls the games with Chris Collins. He'd come out and do the show with us. We'd have the men's players out there, the women's players out there. We were like, no, it's student radio, but we're gonna, to be fair, at the time I was also working here, so I'm watching how we do things. I'm like, well, I'm gonna do that at the student radio station. Then getting PJ Carlissimo on the show one time,
Nice.
WWSU, that was the most because I remember starting here, we had access to kind of a database of names that we could reach out to. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. He responded. I'm like, well, we could, use him here. I didn't have a show at Wing at the time, but he responded. So I'm like, well, I have a show over here. So I don't know if that was allowed. I don't know, because it's supposed to be used for but I technically didn't lie. I was like, hey, I'm with our ESPN affiliate here. I'd love to interview you. It did. So having PJ Carlissimo on, we had Jalen Rose on one time. This is a student radio show. And I sounded like a badass because, all right, it's it's a little sports talk show here on WWSU, and we have Jalen Rose coming up next. That was pretty cool.
Congratulations, man. You got Jalen Rose, Fab Five member, our guy Clay, he works at the golf tournament up there in Michigan with Jalen Rose all the time for his leadership academy. So that's pretty cool.
When that went viral for his
for the bad swing,
his chops, his chops at the golf ball. That's yes, swing and a miss.
Looking like me.
There you go. But all right, how about this, Kev? So the Browns, there's been rumors. Look, I wanted the Browns to go after D-Hop for quite some time. They didn't get D-Hop until today. They finally got D-Hop. The Browns finally executed the trade to get D-Hop. They finally did it, Kev. I'm super jacked, but it's not the D-Hop that you're thinking of. It's D-Hop kind of. So it is what it is. But the Browns have traded for kicker Dustin Hopkins in a deal with the Chargers. Of course, everything that went down with Cade York, and I don't know if it really went down, but it did go wide left. It did go wide right. It never went down the middle, and that's the problem. Yes, so the Browns make a trade with the Chargers for a kicker that, I find it wild that they gave up a 7th-round pick to get Dustin Hopkins, who was on the verge of being cut. Dicker the kicker is who ultimately won the job with the Chargers, I think, just for the name itself. I'm not a fan of the Browns using any draft picks to acquire him, but I guess they are in a desperate situation. This is why we had that fun segment, a couple weeks ago of, if you had a chance, which Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, or a Justin Tucker, or a legitimate, a really good kicker, which one would you rather have? And to be honest, and the Browns are a perfect team to be a fan of to answer this question. I love Nick Chubb, but I would much rather have a Justin Tucker than a Nick Chubb on this Browns team right now. In fact, you don't trade Nick Chubb for Justin Tucker. However,
that was going to be my next question.
However, I do believe the Browns would be a significantly better team if you have a Justin Tucker and no Nick Chubb versus Nick Chubb and no Justin Tucker and a big time question mark at that. It would be the most Browns thing in the world, Kev. And what's wild, and again, it's preseason. It doesn't matter. But the Browns lost the first preseason game by 2 points, and he missed 2 field goals in
Right.
that game. They tied with the Eagles. He missed a field goal in that game. I think they lose the close one with the Chiefs. He missed a field goal in that. Or he missed the extra point technically, and then gets hurt when he, so it doesn't. But like, I do think that preseason means nothing, but those are the little things that I do think mean something. And I think whether it's the yips or whatever it was, because I guess this dude, he just drains him in practice every day, just crushes it in practice every single day. He'll go consecutive practices without missing one. Preseason games, he's wide left, wide right. My first NFL game ever seeing the Browns live last year was against the Chargers. I was so ecstatic. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get to see the Browns win on this field goal. And then he missed it wide left. I'm like, well, this is the most Browns experience ever for my first game. But the bottom line is I do believe that it was right to cut him. You don't carry more than one kicker. I mean, some people said, well, you get another kicker and you keep them. You don't have 2 kickers on the team. That's one reason why when they were using the graphic back then of the running backs getting paid more or the kickers getting paid more than running backs, that's not true. I mean, it averages out higher for kickers because there's less kickers in the league. There's 1 kicker per team as opposed to, hell, the Browns had 4 or 5 on the roster last year. So bottom line is the Browns could be in trouble, Kev, because I think we've seen that Deshaun is showing glimpses of that old Deshaun. All right. The pass game looks significantly better. He looks significantly more confident. They may have found DeJuan Jones might have been the steal of the draft. There was talk of the Bengals potential. I mean, I remember Bengals fans the week of the draft, Kev, they were like, well, maybe the Bengals should look at him in the first round. There was DeJuan Jones rumors in the first round.
Yeah.
Now, there wasn't heavy rumors like the Bengals were going to get him, but I remember seeing threads where the Bengals were talking about potentially looking at DeJuan Jones for pure size alone. So the fact that the Browns get him so late, he didn't give up 1 hurry or 1 sack the entire preseason. Now, I know you're not going up against the biggest, baddest dudes throughout, but that shows you he's a wall of a man.
Yeah.
The Browns may have got the steal of the draft in DeJuan Jones when it's all said and done. The bottom line is the defense looks fantastic. The offense looks way better than it did those final 6 games last year. Small sample size, of course, but it was that kicking situation. I think the Browns are going to find themselves in very close games all season long, and it's going to come down to that kicking game. And when good teams, 9-10 win teams are going to miss the playoffs this year, the difference can be situations like this. The most Browns thing ever, Kev, winning 10 to 11 games and missing the playoffs because of the 5 games, 2 of them were lost because you missed a field goal late to win or tie a game.
Yeah, they had to let him go the way he was kicking in the games. And I say this all the time. Preseason matters. I just don't watch. It matters because if your kicker kicks like K. York, you have a problem. You have a blatant problem. And you speaking about DeJuan Jones, like if he's out there a turnstop, that's a problem. But if he's playing up to snuff, that's a good thing. Yep. Just like we're talking about with Heather in the first segment about the Steelers' first team offense and first team defense. Like, yeah, it's in the preseason, but that's obviously a good thing considering how terrible the offense was last year. So all this, the wins and losses don't matter, but their performances of especially the first team guys definitely does matter. So I think this is a good move for the Browns. I mean, I'm not even mad that they traded a 7th round pick to get him because you gave up you used a 4th round pick to get K. York. So, hey, man, obviously things didn't work out right there with him. So, you're on to the next.
Yeah, and sometimes, you can overreact to struggles in the preseason. I know that a lot of people overreacted, including me, to Jamar Chase's rookie year. Remember, the headlines were, he was dropping wide open passes left and right. It was just catch, turn, and he would score on a couple of those drops that he had in the preseason. He was talking about how he struggled to see the lines on the ball because the differences and all this, and everyone was mocking him. Well, me at least. And we all saw how that turned out. Could the most Browns thing ever be someone pick up K. York, Kev, and he's the best kicker in football this year? Yes, because it's mental. That was why I kept bringing up the fact, and that's what a lot of people were talking about. He's money in practice, but practice.
Talking about practice.
We're talking about the game. We need you to step up in the game.
I've never seen another kicker basically lose it like that outside of Roberto Aguayo from Florida State when he got drafted by Tampa Bay. Like, he just lost it. Like, he missed 2 kicks his entire career in college, and then he just turned into me kicking in the NFL. So, like, that's just once it gets in your head, it's bad business. It's hard to get it out.
And that's not coaching.
Yeah, there's nothing you really do.
Yeah, it's and sometimes just reps, and sometimes making that first one, then you visualize it, and then all of a sudden you're back on track again. But nonetheless, Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about two things: getting projects done right with Behr Premium Plus interior paint
and football.
That's right, Kirk Herbstreit. And with Behr's wall-to-wall coverage and long-lasting durable finish, you'll spend less time worrying about your walls,
which means more time for football.
Upgrade your Saturday with Behr and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Saving money in your next exterior stain project with 11% off everything at Menards. Tri-Cabot premium stains and finishes for unbeatable quality and protection against weathering for your exterior wood surfaces. Australian Timber Oil provides translucent, rich color and dimension to decks, siding, railings, and outdoor furniture. A gallon of Australian Timber Oil is $49.98, plus save 11%. Good through September 4th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Okay, so website's done.
Okay, great. But now we need to optimize it.
Optimize?
The build it and they will come mindset doesn't really work here.
So what do we need to do?
There's SEO, paid search, social media, text and mobile marketing, and...
Yeah, we're gonna need some help.
There's SEO, SEM, targeted display, location targeting, social media advertising, OTT, and CTV. We have expertise that will get your business noticed, allowing you to focus more on your business. Go to alphadigitaldayton.com. That's alphadigitaldayton.com. Or call 937-519-0035.
Wendy's BOGO $1 deal is back at participating Wendy's. Buy a Dave single spicy chicken sandwich, 10-piece nugs, or medium frosty, and get another for $1. Double your deliciousness. Hurry, this BOGO deal won't last.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Thank you to everyone that came and spent some time with us on Friday when we were live at Frickers in Miamisburg, especially with how many people dropped off and donated some school supplies. I did find out from Crystal at Frickers. She said, just so you guys know, when you guys left, she goes, about 3 or 4 other people stopped over and dropped off a bunch of stuff, saying that they heard the show. They just couldn't make it over after, in time for the show, but they stopped over afterward. So thank you. It sounds like, for one, a lot of you guys do a lot of good stuff around, this city with or without us telling you to. But when you do that, it does show the power of what we do. And selfishly, that helps us and it gets us back out at places. So from that perspective, thank you, because you guys, whether you guys believe it or not, you guys dictate what we do here too, whether our bosses keep us around or not. So, you guys are doing something right because they keep bringing Kevin and I back every year. So there's so at least you guys are saying, well, how do we do just people are like, what can we do that's just good enough to keep Kev, but maybe, struggle enough to not keep Kinner? I do not know. My attitude will be why. My attitude will get me in trouble as far as that's concerned. But yeah. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 5. Oh, yeah. 5. I guess we have phones today because we're back in studio. So that's pretty cool. 518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation as far as that's concerned. The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Keep in mind that returns. It'll be Wednesday. So it'll be tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, what is today? Monday?
Yep.
So this Wednesday and next Wednesday. But starting the week after the week 1 of the NFL season, his show will be moved to Monday. So it's always cool having his show on Monday. You get to hear his reaction right away to college, everything that happened, college football Saturday, NFL the day before. So keep that in mind as far as that goes. But week 3 of the high school football season is officially upon us. So I'm very jacked about that. We got a good matchup this week, Kev. How about Springfield at Trotwood?
Let's get it on.
Springfield at Trotwood. Now, I will say, Springfield at Trotwood is our week 3 high school football game of the week. The thing that's most interesting about this is the fact that, well, how about the Trotwood Rams, who have been, they've been solid the last couple of years, but they've obviously taken a step back. They've had to kind of, readjust it, new players, young players, all that. They took it to Fairmont this past week.
Yeah.
Like, I was not expecting that. I remember, so it's halftime of the Northmont game. I go out just to get a little bit of a breather. And they're announcing the scores over the PA, and they mentioned the Trotwood and the Fairmont score, and the oohs and the ahs and the gasp. Like, that surprised everybody. So that's not a shot at Jeff Graham and his Rams is saying, like, you guys are supposed to be bad. I just think that that's the respect that everyone has right now for David Miller and Fairmont. That doesn't mean they're bad, by the way, but that's just they're at the point now where you don't expect that type of beatdown on Fairmont. Like, Fairmont can lose, but you don't expect that type. I think that's more of how good Trotwood is at this point. And, and then Springfield's coming off a tough loss this week. So I'm excited for Friday. I think that has all the Springfield, they're not going to lose back-to-back weeks, but Trotwood's feeling pretty dang good about themselves after handing it to Fairmont that way.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in Springfield going into this matchup. Because, we know, like, the relationship between the two coaches, they're friends and everything like that. But, you don't want to be anybody more than a friend or your sibling. So he wants to win for that reason. And then throwing the fact that they're coming off a tough loss. So they know the importance of it. They're Springfield. They got so many guys going D1. Trotwood has, quote unquote, been down. But, like, they know the importance of, quote unquote, keeping Trotwood down because we know how powerful Trotwood can become as a powerhouse football team. So this is definitely the matchup of the week.
And again, keep in mind the other aspect of this too, I love the fact that you have 2 former NFL guys, 2 former guys that played great and such at a high level on the college level, leading 2 local high school teams. So Trotwood welcoming in Springfield. Can't wait. That's our week 3 high school football game of the week. But before we focus on week 3, Kev, let's highlight some of our individual star performances from week 2. So many great individual star performances from over the week. Let's start at number 5. This individual, we need again the sounder. Number 5. Xenia running back Elijah Johnson. He, of course, cracked the top 5 performance list last week. Another big performance. Xenia improves to 2-0 with a 37-7 blowout win over West Carrollton, Kev. 21 carries, 141 yards, and a touchdown. Elijah Johnson just continues to be the steady force that pushes the Bucks. And right now, he's leading them, and they're 2-0. So, that's pretty cool. But Elijah Johnson's been one of the more consistent players, especially at running back in the run game as far as that's concerned.
Over 6 yards a pop. I say give it to him 2 times. That's a first down.
Every single time, and that they're going to have to rely on that. That's for sure. Number 4. If you're just joining us, it's our high school top star performances, individual performances from week 2 of the high school football season. Number 4, another running back. Let's head over to Meadowdale. Meadowdale running back Tion Martin. 36 carries. All right. You can tell he's the focus of that offense. 36 carries, 174 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Meadowdale knocked off Woodward out of Cincinnati, 22-18. Another strong individual performance from a running back on the ground. And then, of course, not just getting it done, but between the end zones, getting the ball into the end zone. That's pretty cool, too.
Absolutely. 2 tutties. What would you do if you scored a touchdown in high school? Would you hand the ball to the referee? Would you celebrate with your offensive line? Would you do something that I would do?
Well, what would you do? I'll let you know.
I would get a penalty. I would get a penalty for celebrating.
I'm the one that like everyone's cheering for to get in the game late because Kinner works just so dang hard, and by golly, So nonetheless, who knows? But number three on our high school top performers list, our performers list from week 2. I had the pleasure of calling this matchup. Northmont beating LaSalle 35-31. But man, DJ Williams, Northmont Thunderbolts wide receiver, he had 6 catches for 171 yards and 2 touchdowns, Kev. He was the go-to weapon, of course, for their star quarterback in Deuce Kortner, which we'll talk about coming up here in a moment. He's at the top of our list. But if you got to think, if his quarterback's number 1 on the list and he had 171 yards, that quarterback put up some numbers. But 171 yards, 6 catches, 2 touchdowns. Northmont holds off LaSalle 35-31, but an unbelievable performance in that wide receiver.
So I was at the Funny Bone on Friday night. Mike Epps was in town. So I'm leaving the Funny Bone. I turn on the game and you're wrapping up the score or whatever. You're talking about the stats, and I'm just blown away from the amount of talent. And when you talked about how many yards receiving Williams had, the first thing I thought was, well, how many yards did the QB pass for? And I'm sure we'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to him because he's not number 2. He's number 1. Number 2. But there's nothing, not taking anything away from this quarterback because this quarterback is what led the Trotwood Rams to arguably the most surprising result of the weekend here locally. Trotwood knocking off Fairmont 38-8. How about that? As we talked about, but Timothy Carpenter, the quarterback for Trotwood, just an unbelievable performance, Kevin, a very efficient performance. He finished the night with 4 total touchdowns. He completed 14 of 18 passes for 211 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, but he also rushed for 117 yards and ran another additional touchdown into the end zone. So 4 total touchdowns, 211 passing yards, 117 rushing yards, and the score on the ground. A very well-rounded performance from the Rams quarterback.
And you mean he's not number 1?
He's not number 1 because, well, maybe if I had the Trotwood Fairmont game, he probably would have been number 1. But it was a coin flip between these two. But Timothy Carpenter, my goodness, what a performance from him. Congratulations on the great week. And congratulations, on the win over Fairmont. That's huge nonetheless. And they're going to have that confidence with Springfield coming into town. I think that's key. I can't wait for Friday night. All right, number 1, Northmont quarterback, Mr. Deuce Kortner. All right, Kortner, 14 to 22 pass attempts. Kev, he threw for 329 yards and 4 touchdowns. Unbelievable performance again, and the majority of those came in that first half. And it's not like he played poorly in the second half. It's just he got banged up a little bit at one point, but the defense for both teams just stepped it up. I mean, like I said, it was touchdown in the first half. It looked like it was going to, reflect that Wayne score that we saw last week. But the defense, put the clamps down. They made the adjustments in the second half, and you could just tell those are 2 high school teams that are going to be playing deep into the playoffs, especially when they have the weapons on defense and a quarterback like that. My goodness. So that is your top 5 star performers from week 2 of the high school football season.
So you're calling these games. Take us inside the booth. You're up there, you and KB up there enjoying the game and calling the game, but up there in the booth as well are the other coaching staffs. What's happening in those other rooms? Because I've heard some words that should not go over the radio on the broadcast last week. And I knew it wasn't you guys. I knew it was the coaches and everything like that. Describe that atmosphere when a game like this is going on.
You're setting me up here. Coaches, knock it off. It's pathetic. It really is. It's not necessary. And I'm here to tell you one thing. They can't hear you, bro. And that does
I can hear you when I'm on the radio. Me off.
Because, that's the thing. This is why I get so annoyed when, we get, it is because, for one, just their temper tantrums. They're straight up temper tantrums. And, by the way, if I'm a parent and you talk to my kid that way, I'm going to have a huge damn problem with you. And I'm not one of them, soft, you can't coach my kid. But what they're yelling in these booths, and I'm not calling out individual coaches. I'm not even telling you which coaching staff it was. And it wasn't both. All I'm saying is that's not necessary, and I have no clue why they act like children up there. It ticks me off. It really does. And some are very bad. Some are it was at times bad this past weekend, but there are coaching staffs that I'm like, you guys are embarrassing. It straight up is. And they're good coaching staffs, but the way they act in there is just uncalled for. You're not making a difference acting like that. You're just not. And this idea that you're in a soundproof room that no one can hear you, everyone can hear you. And that pisses me off that went over the air. I did not know that. And I'm not mad at you, obviously, but that's ridiculous. I don't know. With as much as parents get mad at everything today, I'm surprised that coaches like that get away with it. So
rewinding back when Mark Neal used to do these, he used to have the microphone, the crowd microphone. And
that scares me. I don't do that.
And yeah, and I'm glad you don't do that, because a similar situation happened with Mark, and it wasn't the coaching staff, it was the crowd.
Oh yeah,
being the crowd, and like he got a text message and like he kind of announced it on the air, changed up things a little bit because some people got potty mouths out there, it's football season, and it's just funny, like live radio, because that type of stuff still happens. And I did a double take when I heard those words, and I asked the wife, I was like, did I hear what I just thought I heard? She was like, I think you did. It's like, are you going to tell him? I was like, nah, he's in the middle of a game. Like, I don't want to fluster him or anything like that. So I'll talk to him on Monday.
Yeah. And I've asked Keith about this before. He goes, like, relax. It's high school football. Relax. Calm down. Like, it does crack me up. And by the way, I'm already off. I don't know, just some coaches put off this like weird vibe of like, this is the coolest thing they've ever done, and we got to act as macho as possible and F word out of every other. And I'm like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, I cuss, I drop the F bomb, I say inappropriate words. Yes, we all do. We're all adults. There's a time and a place. And I just don't get why that's the time to do it. You know what? I don't know. Maybe if I was a coach, I'd scream and yell too, but nonetheless. But don't get me fined, people. If I get fined, it better be for something I say, not because of some wannabe coach that's trying to pretend to be Bill Parcells over there. Not going to happen.
Oh, speaking of somebody trying to be Bill Parcells, I'm sure we'll talk about it after you get a chance to watch that documentary on Bishop Sycamore. Oh, boy, that was a doozy I watched over the weekend.
I've just seen the clips, and that's bad. That some of the individual, the coach, like, I thought that was like, there has to be more to that story. There's no way it's as snaky is what it's coming. No, it's bad.
It's even worse.
It's actually worse than what I'd anticipated. I haven't even watched it yet.
Man, the one, it's two things, and I'll let you watch it for yourself, and you'll know them when you see them. You'll definitely know them. The ones I'm talking about. The two things are just like, wait a minute, he did what?
And that's is here in Ohio.
Yeah.
The OHSA is referenced a lot and all this stuff, so it's very interesting. By
Governor
the way,
DeWine's in there for a hot second. Yeah.
You were asking about, what coaching staff and all that stuff. Ron goes, it was me. Ron, yes. Yes. The stuff yeah. Anyways, nonetheless, but I'm also not naive to, I don't know. I'm not one of those people like, oh, you can't cuss around high school kids. No, stop. They're saying stuff way worse.
Way worse. Okay?
Way worse. But at the same time, like, quit it. Like, I don't know. They can't hear you. Same thing for the fans, by the way. Come on, ref. You didn't see that? No, they can't hear that either. Be quiet.
Howdy.
Oh, yeah. Why we even have officials is beyond me. Just have Karen in the fourth row on the home stands to just call everything.
Clearly,
call it both ways. Oh, yeah. We got to do like
yes.
We got to do like bingo or something like where we could see how many of these phrases are actually dropped on a weekly basis. But what documentary
you can't see that?
Yeah. What documentary? What's the name of the documentary?
It's called BS High. It's on HBO. It's about the Bishop Sycamore High School.
I like the
quote
name
unquote.
Of that. That's a play on words and letters and all that.
Up in Columbus, I think it was 2020 where they played IG Academy on ESPN, and they lost 58-0. And basically, they had some guys that were high school ages, some guys that were in their 20s playing high school football, and it gets really behind the details and speaks to the head coach and quote unquote founder of this whole situation, and just basically reveals that he's a scam artist.
Do you guys remember that? Shaw, I think you should remember that. There was a nationally televised high school game that the result was just so embarrassingly bad, and then they find out halfway through that there was no stats for the team. They couldn't get all the information, that the team wasn't real, that this was it was just
it's a hoax.
It's a hoax, but kind of a hoax. They played real teams. They beat really good teams. They got beat by some bad teams, but they had to share football helmets. And ESPN looked really, really bad because they didn't do their homework correctly. So anyways, I don't understand how that story didn't take off even more than what it did. But this documentary I'm pretty jacked about.
I know we got to go to break, but the reporter that focuses on high school football, he said that he was reaching out to ESPN, CBS Sports, Yahoo Sports for 2 years. 2 years saying, hey, this isn't a real high school. This isn't real. He said he was reaching out to other schools that they were playing, like, hey, FYI, this isn't a real school. They had a guy on there that played 2 years in JUCO. like it's funny, it's hilarious because like, all right, these grown men are still getting blown out by 17, 18-year-olds, but like a 22-year-old tackling a 16-year-old, like, it's insane. Like, you're a grown man, and it gets even worse than that. It gets so uncomfortable to watch.
Kev was paid by the documentary to hype this thing up. If you can't, no, I can't wait to watch.
Way better than that Swamp Kings thing that you liked.
It's my guy Urban. Herbs and spices. We'll be right back. Werewolf. I'll end you.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Our forecast mostly clear, 54 tonight, sunshine and 83 Tuesday, partly sunny and 75 for Wednesday. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com. Hot rods, muscle cars, classics. You gotta see Cars and Parts Giant Swap Meet and Car Show this Friday and Saturday at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. You gotta be there. Fun for the whole family. Bargains on everything automotive. Buy, sell a collector car, see show cars, find parts for your winter restoration project. Cars and Parts Giant Swap Meet and Car Show this Friday and Saturday at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. Call 937-376-0111 for more info, or visit ohioswapmeet.com.
When will the danger become crystal clear? When you read another statistic? When it happens to your neighbor? When your family is shattered? When will you finally take action? Don't let another family's life fall to pieces due to the dangers of unsafe railroad crossings. Report bad railroad crossings at angelsontrack.org. That's angelsontrack.org. Because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and the station.
Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends. Looking for something to do this fall? It's not too late to join a fun fall league, adult, youth, or mixed. Polking Bowling Centers has a fun program just for you, providing a safe and sanitized bowling environment. Visit polkingbowling.com or Facebook for the list of fall programs. Let the good times roll at Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, and Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring solution lets you attract candidates and even conduct virtual interviews. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Your house is more than just a roof over your head. When it comes to protecting your home, you want a roofing company that you can trust. That's where Enterprise Roofing comes in. They've been serving the Dayton area for over 90 years and have over 1,000 Dayton area projects under their belt. They're a third-generation, family-owned business, and they're here to stay. You can trust Enterprise Roofing to be here, now and whenever you need them. Call today at 937-298-8664 to schedule your consultation.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now, online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting. for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100% feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Wake up, people. You are optimizing every waking hour of your life. From carpooling kids, to work, to friends, and everything in between. You have to get sleep. And a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements. Learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better. Night after night. Sleep next level. Only from Sleep Number.
It's the biggest sale of the year. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition Smart Bed. Plus special financing. Ends Monday. See store for details.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on all your school essentials from notebooks to markers. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, portable tech, and travel-sized personal items. Plus, save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples print and marketing services. And now at Staples, you can save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
Shop Labor Day appliance savings at Lowe's. Now's the time to refresh your kitchen for less. Lowe's knows home improvement.
I can't wait for what's next. Even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, the Pixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
High school football fans, get up-to-the-minute score updates from all the biggest games around the Miami Valley using the 1410 ESPN radio scoreboard presented by Frickers. Visit 937sports.com.
Welcome back, Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So Alabama's Nick Saban is getting people talking. Of course, this Nick Saban's, I don't know how much longer he's going to coach, but it's starting to remind me a little bit of the Coach K kind of countdown, where every time Coach K opened his mouth, people just criticize it. And it wasn't even like, it would be basketball stuff people would criticize. It wasn't like Coach K was weighing in on the changes in athletics or anything. You know what I mean? Like, it was just anything he said, people just jumped on it. I don't know what it is. Nick Saban's doing this. A lot of it's the same with him. And Nick Saban's done something that has people irritated, or at least has people talking, and I just don't get it. So Alabama's Nick Saban forgoes depth chart to avoid distractions. So not only did Alabama coach Nick Saban neglect to name a starting quarterback on Monday, but he also neglected to release a depth chart in any form. Now, Middle Tennessee is the big rivalry matchup it's the big matchup for Alabama as they kick off the season coming up this Saturday. But I guess it's the first time in Nick Saban's 17 seasons. He's been there for 17 years, not his 17 years coaching, 17 years at Alabama. Wow. 17 seasons at Alabama. This is the first time that he did not release a formal depth chart the week of the season opener. Now, he goes on to say that, at this point, putting out a formal list for starters and backups, it just creates a lot of distractions within the locker room. And quite frankly, we don't need that. I want all of our players to continue to compete for playing time, to try to play at the highest level. And I don't want anybody in our team to think they're a backup player or whatever. I don't understand why people are picking at this apart on social media. See, Nick Saban, his team's not very good. He doesn't know, now all of a sudden he's kind of freaking out a bit because he's not used to not having this, so much talent on the team. And now he's actually being forced to coach. No, I think that right now everything is being handled different by coaches across the board, mainly because with NIL, with having to massage egos of players, with the transfer portal, a lot of it is I do think we've seen a change in how coaches go about naming starters and everything else, unless it's just a clear-cut, obvious choice of who's the starter.
Mm-hmm.
You got to massage these kids a little bit to the point to where it's like, okay, you know what? I don't know who the starter is. Like, even though everyone might know who it is, it's like, well, we're leaving this competition open. You still have a chance to be the starter. It's also Middle Tennessee. It's also like, I don't need to know that who the starting quarterback is or the right tackle or the running back or the wide receiver or the safety or whoever. We're watching it with Ohio State. There's no urgency to name Devin Brown or Kyle McCord the starting quarterback. We have a couple weeks with below average to below average opponents. There is no need to force a square peg in a round hole. Let's just let the schedule dictate how things fall into place. I don't have a problem with this, but like I said, it reminds me of just Coach K's final year or 2 years, where it was like, if he said anything, it was, oh, whatever, Coach K. Oh, he's afraid of losing, or oh, he's afraid of this. Oh, he's afraid of that. No, I just think it's a strategy, and he's adapting to what's coming to Nick Saban. I have a lot of criticism of it. This isn't one of them. I don't care.
I'm on the fence with this because I understand where people are coming from with the whole situation is, hey, man, if you've done something for 17 years and then out of nowhere you decide not to do that, it's going to raise a red flag. As far as he's concerned about, not wanting to name a starting left tackle, guard, free safety, we all know where the eyes immediately are going to go. They're going to go to that quarterback position. You're replacing the first overall draft pick, Bryce Young. Is it going to be the transfer from Notre Dame? Is it going to be the guy that backed up Bryce Young last year? Is it going to be this new hotshot 5-star guy? People want to know. People want to know who's going to be the quarterback of their team. Like, we're not asking at Ohio State who's winning the left tackle position. We're only concerned about the quarterback position. So I understand him trying to keep heat out of the locker room. But guess what? Everybody inside the locker room knows what it is, because guess what? They go to practice every single day, and somebody has to go out first. Somebody's out there practicing and throwing to their first team wide receivers and practicing with their first team offensive line and everything like that. So the guys in the locker room know what it is. He's just trying to create that, hey, man, we know that these guys, young adults, see, it's a compromise. Young adults, they live on these. They live on these, and they'll go to the message boards and they'll get killed on the boards. I'm sure you're familiar with that phrase. So, like, I understand him trying to keep them focused. I think the biggest news, and it doesn't necessarily involve Nick Saban, it goes to Kyle Willingham, the head coach of Utah. He is mum on everything. He's basically doing the same thing that Nick Saban is doing. Their quarterback, Cam Rising, he got his knee injured in the Rose Bowl last year. People want to know, is Cam Rising playing? Is he playing? Is he not playing? Is he playing? Is he not playing? Because they have a big matchup versus Florida, and he basically said, once it's a rule that we have to do an injury report, I will. But since there isn't one, I'm not. So these coaches, they're losing their grip on control. And this is just one of those ways that they're tightening that grip back up. Like, hey, this is the only thing that I have control over. Guess what? We're hunkering things down. We're not letting any information out if we don't have to.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, especially if there's not a role that you have to. If I was a head coach, I wouldn't do it either. Like, oh, you want me to, you want me to release this so that Johnny, the writer for the whatever Times, needs it for his story? I don't work for you. Like, I work in media. I get that I would like that to happen, but like, if I'm a coach, I don't work for you. And even if I'm nice to you and give you access, you're going to criticize me when I lose 3 games in the season.
Right.
You're going to criticize me and write a report on when I lose out on a 5-star recruit that we were this close to getting because our NIL package isn't as good as this one over here. If I'm a coach, I don't owe you a damn thing outside of the team. So I like what you said earlier about like the players know. Saban apologized for not releasing a depth chart, but he also said that players know who should start and who shouldn't. And he says that the only ones that matter in this situation are those individuals. And he's had those conversations. Just because he won't give us that information or have that conversation with us, it doesn't mean that he doesn't know what he's doing. It doesn't mean that there's players in the locker room scrambling, not knowing what's going on. And sometimes if they don't, that's because maybe a certain position group has not been decided yet. And I think quarterback is one of them. But you were right. I like what you said too about like coaches, all the elite coaches in general, control freaks, every one of them. They want to have control of everything. And they've lost all limited control that they've had to begin with, especially with NIL, especially with the transfer portal. So now it's like, okay, the things I can control, I'm going to just double down on those.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that it's across the board. We're seeing coaches who are being a little bit more mum heading in. And who makes the decision to make it a rule to put that out, by the way? Would it be the NCAA?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to find exactly what it is.
Conference? Like, could a conference? Like
maybe it is a conference situation. I'm not sure.
Like, especially like if I could see if a conference would do it for conference play. Like, in fact, I think it should be. I do think from that perspective that if the Big Ten came out and said, hey, by Thursday or at least Friday at noon, we need the injury report released. And I think that that's good for conference play. If I'm playing Middle Tennessee, I'm sorry. I don't need to have my Nick Saban doesn't need to bow down to Middle Tennessee. I'm just saying. Like, and even if they were playing Ohio State, I don't know. I don't think they owe him that. But I do think if a conference decided to make that a rule, I'm fine with that.
So, yes, this is I'm finding this on CBS Sports. Big Ten institutes player availability injury reports for all teams during the 2023 college football season.
So that was a recent adjustment.
Yes, that came out last week on, the 25th. So that just came out. So I guess it is conference to conference.
518-1410. By the way, people, if you want to weigh in the chat section, just do you care if coaches give? I mean, as a fan, I would love to know who the starter is for Ohio State.
But let's be real. Okay, so the team that I follow, Florida State and Ohio State, they're notorious for this. So-and-so or so-and-so, so-and-so or so-and-so, John Johnson or Jack Johnson. Like, just keep putting the ors down the whole entire depth chart so you don't really get a true depth chart because it's or down the entire
the roster just separated by or.
Yeah, like or him, or him, or him. So I find that more laughable than just not releasing one at all. And let's be real, like especially the hardcore fans of those specific teams, majority of the starters. You're listening to, your favorite podcast about your football team. I could tell you all 22 starters for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I haven't seen a practice yet. I know exactly who's starting. So, probably about us. We're both Buckeye fans. We know probably, 18 of the 22 starters. So it's really just the quarterback position that people are worried about.
No, and yeah. Now, so if that's the case, then why aren't they releasing it?
Or
is that what they're doing?
That's probably what they're going to do.
Is that how they're getting around it?
That's what Ohio State always does when it's a position battle. And
so it's by Friday. It has to be by Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, well then people calm down.
Yeah, it'll be in.
It's going to come out by Friday.
It'll be in.
And by the way, whatever the depth chart is for that Friday doesn't mean that like, oh man, so-and-so's the starting right tackle or the wide receiver. That's for this game. Doesn't mean that that's the season depth chart. That's just what's coming out.
And
for this week.
That is a great point because I heard Nick Saban say this as well. He's like, hey man, the competition doesn't end after week 1. The competition is ongoing. I love that mentality, but just because like, all right, man, I'm the starting cornerback for week 1 versus Middle Tennessee State. Well, guess what? If I get toasted by Middle Tennessee State for 2 touchdowns, guess what? I'm probably not the starting cornerback week 2. So I love that mentality to say, hey, man, we're going to compete not only during practice, but during the games, and you'll be reevaluated. There's a reevaluation process going on the entire season because guess what? That's how guys get better. I mean, think about it. Think about the year that Ohio State won the national championship. JT Barrett wasn't JT Barrett that he was at the back half of the season that he was at the start of the season. Think about how he struggled in that first game.
Oh, I know.
And think about how great he was versus Michigan State back when Michigan State was real good. Go green, go white.
Penn State and all that.
Yeah. Michigan State's about to be real good next year. Very good on defense. Go green, go away.
Powerful take you have right there.
Indeed.
Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. Jesse, what is up, sir?
Jesse.
Hey, what's going on? So is this Kev Nash live and in person?
I'm here for a change.
Man, dude,
Enjoy it while you
got
can.
back from Hawaii. I don't know if you got back from Hawaii or if you're on some kind of, house arrest or whatever. But
I got a lot of PTO days I'm trying to burn up. You know what I'm saying? So why take PTO when the football season's going on? Take it in the summer when the weather's good.
I feel I ain't talked to you since like the Steelers were better than the Bengals. Like it's been a long time, but it's been a grip. But I was laughing at you guys' high school football takes. You talk about scoring in the end zone. That never happened with me. I am the proud owner of 2 sportsmanship awards. I don't know if you guys
and
know
I both. I think we were both finalists the same year.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what that means. That means you got your ass kicked in practice and you never seen the field, but you never quit the team. So I have 2 of those in a storage unit as we speak right now. But now I was enjoying your high school football take and the way you were talking about how children talk these days. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she might as well be speaking Swahili when she comes home. I don't know if she's telling me to go F myself or she loves me or if she wants something. I'm usually just like, yep, nope, yep, nope, 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 yep. But the only sports take I had, I would say, for Ohio State, I heard something the other day, and somebody was saying that the hardest 3 games on Ohio State's schedule, and he put it in this order, was at Penn State, then Indiana, and then Notre Dame. Put Notre Dame third. I was kind of curious on what you guys' thoughts on that.
And Jesse, thank you. So,
thanks, Jesse.
Jesse, thanks. So the 3 hardest games at Penn State, at Indiana, and then what was the other one? I shouldn't have hung up on him until I made sure I got that all.
I'm pulling it up right now.
No, so taking Michigan out of it.
Oh, taking Michigan out of it?
The 3 hardest games were, he said, Indiana, Notre Dame, and Penn State. So at first I was like, well, why Indiana? Here's the deal. Ohio State historically, although the win-loss record doesn't reflect that, Ohio State has always been a little rusty at Indiana, even with it being basically a home game, because at Indiana, Buckeye fans will fill up, their stadium.
Yeah.
So, but I remember years ago, I think it was the debut of J.K. Dobbins. Ohio State ended up throttling them the final score, but I remember the first half, it was a 1-possession game at the half, and it was an ugly first half, and Buckeye fans were freaking out. That's what was very interesting about that. I think we're going to see that this weekend. I think Ohio State's going to come out a little slow, but I don't think it's not going to be a 2-possession win or anything like that. I think they're going to still beat up on Indiana. I think it's because Indiana could be viewed as, you don't get that Middle Tennessee. You don't get that Youngstown State.
Right.
You don't get that. Indiana's a Big Ten opponent.
Yeah.
You're on the road.
Yeah.
You technically don't know who your quarterback is. You're replacing a ton of production from a year ago, even if you do have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ibuka and those guys. The thing that's interesting about this is this can be an interesting matchup. I think it's going to leave a bad taste in some Buckeye fans' mouths because I think they're going to win. They're going to win by, I think it could be like that Tulane game. Was it Tulane a few years ago, or what was that? Where it was just ugly. Was that Field? No, Stroud's rookie, freshman or first-year starter season or whatever you want to call it. I remember how just horrible that offense was, now inconsistent. They won by 3 possessions.
Right.
They won by 20-something points, but they did not win the way we wanted them to win.
Right.
And I remember it felt like a loss. I think that could potentially be what happens on Saturday, Kev. I think they're going to win. They're going to win by 3 possessions at the least. But I think the reason some are categorizing the Indiana game as dangerous is because I do think that it can kind of give a rocky feel. The scary thing about that Notre Dame game, Kev, I don't think we're going to know who the hell Ohio State is when we go into that.
We better.
Like beating up on Youngstown State and beating up on Western Kentucky and even beating up on Indiana, I still don't think we know who the heck they are. Like last year was Notre Dame right off the bat.
Right.
Right off the bat. I think that if things are a little dicey against Indiana, and by the way, Indiana's not better than Ohio State. Ohio State's going to win. They're going to blow them out. But I think it's going to be like that. I think it was Tulane 2 years ago where it was like they won by 3 possessions. They blew them out. But man, you felt icky afterwards. You felt gross afterwards. You felt like you needed to shower after that game. I think that's what we're going to feel like Saturday in the game against Indiana. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to look a little iffy. I think that O-line I'm worried about. The reason I think we're not going to know who they are heading into Notre Dame is because there's not an opponent that will give enough resistance for us to have an idea of who they are. And if there is resistance in week one, if they dominate the next 2 weeks, we're going to chalk it up to, well, it's Western Kentucky and it's Youngstown State. They should do that. So that's where I'm coming at with as far as that's concerned.
So it was the Tulsa game.
Tulsa, not Tulane. My
they won 41-20. And that was the week after the loss to Oregon. And then that following week, the game that you went to, they beat Akron 59-7. And that was the game Kyle McCord started.
McCord started that.
Aha, threw for 319 yards, by the way. So for me, I guess if we're going to remove that team up north from the hardest game on the Ohio State schedule, I would obviously go with at Notre Dame. Then I will go home Penn State, and then I will go at Wisconsin, because I think Wisconsin is really one of these, another unknown. What is Fickell going to do? We know they're going to play good defense. Wisconsin always plays good defense, but now they have this added mind of, Luke Fickell added to that team. But, they got the transfer portal. We talk so much about what Colorado did in the transfer portal, but what Wisconsin did in the transfer portal is way better. We talk about what Colorado did because it's Coach Prime and everything like that, but they got guys that were backups. Wisconsin got dudes that were starters. So they got the quarterback from SMU to come to their spot. Then they got the offensive coordinator that's going to help Drake May get drafted into the NFL. They got North Carolina's offensive coordinator to come to their team. And when they were really clicking at North Carolina, they had 2 running backs to rush over 1,000 yards and 2 wide receivers to catch passes for over 1,000 yards. So I'm not sure what we're going to get out of Wisconsin. Is Wisconsin going to be back there tossing it all over the place? Or are they going to be going super power heavy running game? Because that offensive coordinator was able to do both on the same team. So I think Wisconsin is the biggest mystery in the Big Ten.
It's Kinner Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM. Ohio State, a 30-point favorite on the road at Indiana this week. They don't cover.
No.
They're not winning by 30, but if they do, and Kyle McCord or whoever the starter is just balls the freak out, then you know what? OH.
I hope.
By the way, Seahawks fans are hopeful that Jackson Smith's and Jigba's injury, that he'll be back in the 1 to 2 weeks. That's estimated he'll be back, but we'll see him in 2024, I'm sure.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
College football fans, it is our time to shine. Week 1 is officially here, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season off strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. How many times have we seen an unranked team beat a top 10 team? Countless, right? Change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is a great offer from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WING1410. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WING1410. The crown is yours. 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Physically present in Ohio. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Want to try the best in boneless chicken? Head to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded breast strips, 2 irresistible large sides, 5 fluffy biscuits, and 3 dipping sauces, it's the best in strips and a meal to match. Bring home dippable, craveable perfection for the whole family with a Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 10-piece strips meal at a great price. only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Softwater. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Softwater is the home of the 7-year worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my third year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Softwater. Glazier Water is better water.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Klipsch speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc. Crazy cool showroom.
With more ways than ever to connect to news and entertainment, 90% of new car buyers want the tried and true AM/FM radio option. Gadgets are great, but when you're behind the wheel, you just want the local connection that can't be replicated. Local AM/FM radio is dependable and free, with no subscription or cellular data required. And as the backbone of the emergency alert system, we're here to keep you safe in dangerous times. Visit wearebroadcasters.com and tell us how you depend on AM.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from 1410 ESPN Radio. And just like you, I love listening to 1410 Wing AM when I'm in the car and at work. There are thousands of people just like us, and we all buy stuff. We buy groceries, diapers, mowers, furniture, cars, you name it. Someone's buying it and someone's selling it. But what if you could get paid to bring both of those things together? 1410 ESPN Radio is looking for honest, dedicated people who can help local businesses make those connections with people like me and you. This is a job where the more you do, the more money you can make, and we provide training to help you learn. All you need is reliable transportation and a desire to help people. If you've got those two things, the potential is limitless. Send your resume to DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com or call us at 937-519-0030 to get your career as an integrated marketing consultant started today. You could be the newest member of the 1410 ESPN Radio family, and who knows, maybe I'll buy you lunch your first week on the job. 1410 Wing AM is an equal opportunity employer.
Shop Labor Day appliance savings at Lowe's. Now's the time to refresh your kitchen for less. Lowe's knows home improvement.
ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel is where you can watch Dayton's only local sports talk show. Hang out with Kinner and Kev weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Man, that blood pressure is just boiling. My goodness.
Oh, speaking of that, I just got an email from that same individual.
Oh, hey,
I got a question for you. When are we going to be doing our conference picks for college football?
What are you doing tomorrow? Say 3 o'clock?
Okay, fair enough.
Tomorrow?
I'll be ready.
It's all right. Tomorrow.
I will be ready. So with that being said, what are your expectations for Alabama this upcoming season? We just talked about Nick Saban and him not releasing the depth chart and everything like that. Questions with the receivers, questions obviously with the quarterback. What are your expectations?
I put Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia in a category separate from everyone else, where it's no excuses. You're Alabama, you're Ohio State, you're Georgia. And Georgia's new to this group because to me it was Alabama. And then Ohio State fans demanded that they're just as, and I agree, recruiting says you are as good as Alabama, and Georgia is recruiting is as good as Alabama. So Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, I don't really care if this bothers people. That's championship or bust. And the thing is, like, Ohio State, they don't know who their quarterback is. Alabama doesn't know who their quarterback is. When you are the Ohio State University, when you are Alabama, if you're choosing between 2 quarterbacks, that means you're choosing between 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country, right? Like there's no excuse. I guess we're at the point now where Nick Saban doesn't get the benefit of the doubt and whoever the coach is at Ohio State doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, especially when this is why I don't like National Signing Day or days, because all we do is, man, we're this, we're that, we're elite, we're this. Okay, then that means you don't really get wiggle room like other programs do, because other programs can have an elite quarterback but have holes everywhere else. When you're Ohio State and your 3rd string guy could start for 90% of the teams in the country, that's why I'm so like, hey, I don't really care. You don't need to have a Heisman finalist type of quarterback to win a national championship, even though Georgia's quarterback and Bennett was right there at the time. But like, no one was looking at him as being that guy. It was kind of like an eye opener at the end. Like they had championship expectations last year without Bennett having the Heisman expectations. Now he just took him to that next level. So that was nice. Kyle McCord doesn't have to be CJ Stroud. He doesn't have to be Justin Fields. Same thing for whoever the starting quarterback is for Alabama. I don't really care. I don't care how good Georgia is. I know you have more dominant teams, but Ohio State has Michigan to deal with. I think they're the same. I put Ohio State, Alabama in the same boat. Championship or bust.
Championship or bust. Okay, fair enough. For me, man, there's just so many unknowns. I think this is going to be a quote unquote renaissance year for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think with a lot of things that are going on, like I think they're going to zig when everybody else is zagging. I think they're going to go back to the power run game and play outstanding defense. I mean, we look at that defense last year, they had big names like Will Anderson and all that type of stuff, but like they weren't that great on defense either.
Yep.
And they weren't really that great on offense. They had a great offensive player, and that being Bryce Young. The tight end's very good, but like they didn't have those explosive wide receivers like they've done in the past, from Jerry Jeudy to Ruggs to Jameson Williams. The list goes on. Devontae Smith. The list goes on and on and on. I think there's going to be a renaissance, and I think it's going to be a way that teams like that can win, and not only win, but win big because of one major rule change in college football with the clock. The clock is going to keep on ticking. It's not going to stop every single time you go out of bounds. It's not going to stop every single time you get a first down. So I think shorter possession games is going to favor Alabama, and I expect a big season out of Alabama and a big defensive season as well.
We'll do college football tiers tomorrow. Championship or bust tiers.
Oh,
playoff or bust tiers. And then, of course, I want to say conference championship or bust. And I mean, like, not winning it, but you should be in it. Like, for instance, like, out of the Big Ten, is it going to be Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa? Like, Iowa would be a conference championship or bust. Not winning it, but you better be in it at the very least. And we'll do that tomorrow. Noah Lyles. We only have like 60 seconds on this. I'd love to spend more time on it. But
oh, gosh.
Noah Lyles is under fire for basically using common sense, even though I understand where people are pushing out against it. But just because you say you're a world champion doesn't mean that you're the champion of the world. Why is Noah Lyles getting so much hate? This is ridiculous. Like, the NBA as a whole coming across kind of silly, even if you agree with him. My apologies. However, Noah Lyles, when he says that NBA champions of the world champions of what? The United States? Why are we mocking him? You literally are a champion of the United States. You are not a champion of the world. And for everyone that says, well, they're the best league in the world. The best league in the world because you had to go get all the best players of the world coming over. I guess that makes the other argument.
Bye.
Damn.
I don't need to talk.
Have a good night. We'll be right back. Kinner Kev, 1410. I hate you. That's never happened before. I'm about to act like the coaches in the
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
From local town councils to Capitol Hill, agents who are realtors are standing up for what's right. We're here protecting property rights. Here advocating for the issues that affect our neighborhoods. Here championing fair and equitable housing for all.